Hey, good afternoon, everybody. And for all I know, I'm speaking only to myself. But for anybody who is listening, that was the intro for my podcast, the Sales Pro Network. But I'm here to talk to you about something else today, and that's sales confidence. You can see the picture of Duke, the super sales pug here. That is my actual pug, although that's a cartoon of him. And what I want to share with you today is a little bit of thinking about confidence in regards to selling. And also, I'm going to lay out for you a framework, an easy to follow process that you can follow each and every time you're selling, which makes it easy and natural. So the first thing you might be curious about, if you don't already know me, is who the heck am I? I'm a sales coach and trainer. My name is Jeff Goldberg, and I'm based on Long Island in New York. I've got 50 years of experience in both sales and sales management, as well as training and coaching salespeople and sales managers all over the world. I've coached, trained, and mentored and spoken in front of tens of thousands of salespeople at this point. And most lately, I've been focusing on what I call non-traditional sellers, and I'm helping them to get past the often negative opinions they have and viewpoints they have around selling. I teach them both the mindset and the skill set so that they can enroll more clients and do it naturally, easily, without being pushy or sleazy. You don't have to be in the Wolf of Wall Street when you work with me. I've met some of the guys from that company, and they have an interesting background, and I'm guessing most of you have seen the movie, so I don't teach any of that kind of stuff. So what is a non-traditional seller, which is mostly what I'm working with these days, or what I call an accidental seller? An accidental seller is someone who has to sell, but probably doesn't want to. They certainly didn't go to college to go into sales, and almost nobody did. And they often didn't go into sales at all. They became something or somebody who wants to help people. Accidental sellers include coaches and consultants. Accidental sellers include solopreneurs and small business owners, creatives. There are lots of people who are accidental sellers. I'm a professional salesperson. I sell for a living. But an accidental seller is somebody who just wants to serve others. Like a weight loss coach just wants to help people lose weight. A relationship coach wants to help people get into better relationships. Consultants help your business, but they did not go into business, this type of person, to be a salesperson. And often they have incredibly negative feelings and thoughts around selling. Like, selling means I have to be pushy. Selling means I have to be salesy. Selling means I have to talk people into things that they don't really want. And typically for this type of person, the accidental seller, asking for money, actually telling somebody what you do and saying, hey, you've got to pay me for this, feels awful to them. They feel like they're almost begging, and that's not great. The fact is, selling is essential to business growth. I don't care how good you are at what you do. If you can't sell it, then you're going to starve. So you could be the greatest coach in the world, the greatest consultant in the world, the greatest business owner in the world. But if somebody isn't selling what you're offering, you're going to starve pretty quickly. There's a big cost to not having confidence in sales. And typically the lack of confidence comes from simply not knowing what to do. There's a huge fear of rejection. Accidental sellers, 70% of them say that the thing that keeps them from closing more business and making more money and serving more people is the fear that somebody's going to say no to them. So here's what I want you to know. I don't care how good you are at selling, how experienced you are. I'm so good at selling that people pay me large amounts of money to teach them how to sell. And with 50 years of experience, I'm pretty darn good at it. But I'm going to get rejected sometimes. In fact, I get rejected depending on what product or service I'm selling. I typically get rejected more often than I get accepted. My coaching is the exception to that. My coaching, about 85% of the people I first speak with end up being my coaching client. But when it comes to selling sales training to corporations, I close 42% of the people that I first speak with. Now, that's actually a very high number, but it should be a high number because I'm an expert at selling, so expert that I teach others how to do it. But that still means that 58% of the people that I meet with tell me no. Well, get used to rejection. You may not love it, but it is part of sales. 45% of accidental sellers say that they lose revenue because they simply don't have the confidence to have great conversations with people. And typically, 3 times of your time spent worrying about selling is keeping you from doing the actual selling. So you're missing opportunities to serve people and to make money while you're doing it. You're stalling your own business growth. Your business can't grow if you can't sell. In fact, you're pretty quickly going to go out of business if you can't sell. And of course, if you're not making enough money, you've got income uncertainty, and nobody likes that. We want to be certain that we're going to be able to eat and take care of our families if we've got one, and pay the mortgage and the car payment, all that good stuff. Without confidence, which comes from actually knowing what to say, knowing what to do, getting the proper training and reinforcement, being able to practice, even the best offers are going to die on the vine. They're going to fail to convert if you don't have confidence. Now, why does selling feel hard to so many people? Well, A, they don't want to be seen as being pushy or sleazy or salesy. And in their head, that's what selling's all about. Now, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for thinking that way, because certainly when I started selling, there was a way more sleaze. It was more not accepted, but it was more commonplace to lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you had to do to close the deal. I'm going to say that today, my experience is there are way less salespeople and sales organizations being sleazy like that, but there are still some, and the old attitudes or the old opinions about salespeople stick with us. So accidental sellers especially, but almost any seller, they don't want to be seen as being that type of person. They don't want to be the typical salesperson. Another reason that sales is often hard for people is because they're inconsistent in their follow-up. And a dear friend of mine, and I know he didn't make up this saying, his name is Joe Applebaum, he often quotes that the fortune is in the follow-up. We'd all love for every sale to close immediately when we speak to people, but the fact is most don't. We often have to have 2 meetings, 3 meetings, sometimes 5, 10, and more over a period of days, weeks, months, sometimes even years, depending on what type of a product you sell and who you sell it to. And that means you have to consistently follow up. You have to be politely persistent in staying in touch with people and keeping the sale moving forward. And that's not easy. Another thing that makes selling feel hard is that you don't have confidence when you're telling people what you're going to charge them. And by the way, this is the time that you need the most confidence. Of all the times during the sales process that you have to sound confident, when you tell people the investment, what you're going to charge them, what they have to give you in order to work with you, that's the time you need the absolute most confidence, because if you don't have a total commitment and total confidence when you give somebody your price, your number, your fee, whatever you call it, they're going to see that as a lack of confidence on your part. And they're going to think that you don't believe that what you just offered them is worth the money that you told them. So people are very concerned that the person that they're telling the price to isn't going to buy from them when they hear the number because they think it's going to be too much. Here's my advice. When you tell somebody your price, let's say you're selling something and it's $5,000. First of all, I never use the word dollars because that's what I call a red flag word. There's a bunch of red flag words that when we say them to prospects, it puts up a red flag in their mind, like price, like dollars, like contract, like signature. How many times have you been told, don't ever sign any contract without reading it? You should probably send it to your lawyer. But nobody ever told you to not that you have to read the paperwork before you approve it. So there are better words to use than price, dollars, signature, contract. There's a whole bunch of them. But if you don't have confidence when you're asking for money, then people see that as a lack of confidence, and that means that they think you don't believe that what you're offering is worth it, and that makes selling very hard, because if you don't think it's worth it, they're not going to think it's worth it. Of course, one of the main things that makes selling hard for many people is they are afraid of hearing no. And here's what I want you to, if you walk away with nothing else from this 30 or 40 minutes we'll invest together today, here's what I want you to remember. No is part of sales. Being rejected on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis is absolutely part of sales. One of the things you need to do is figure out for yourself by tracking accurately, how many no's does it take to get to a yes? So in the example I gave you earlier, where I close 42% of the people that I first speak with regarding sales training, that means 4 out of 10 people, 4.2 out of 10 people are going to say yes to me. 6 or 5.8 people are going to say no. Now, do I want people to say no? Sometimes if I don't feel I'm right for them, or if I don't feel they're right for me, then I don't want the deal. But when I want a deal, I don't like hearing no, but I do take it in my stride. I go, you know what? I'm one step closer to the next person is going to say yes, because the numbers always work out. If you track your metrics carefully, which you should be doing for any prospecting you're doing, your closing ratio, your average sales cycle, you should know all that stuff. Then you should know how many no's is going to get you to a yes. And the other thing that makes selling hard is what I call head trash. And head trash are the thoughts that we have in our head, which sound reasonable quite often and sound like they should be true, but just aren't. But because it's the voice in our head telling us this all the time, we believe it. And if you don't know what voice I'm talking about, the voice in your head that's always whispering to you, if you don't know what voice I'm talking about, it's the little voice that just said to you, what little voice is Jeff talking about? It's constantly jabbering in our minds. We all have it, and often it's negative. So we are often telling ourselves stuff that's negative, which we then believe, and that affects how we act. I'll give you an example. Any day now, in fact, I've started getting a few calls, but in the next couple of days, I'm going to start getting a lot of calls, and they're going to sound like this. Hey, Jeff, it's fill in the blank with it. It's Joe. How you doing? Hey, Jeff, it's almost Thanksgiving. What am I going to do? And of course, I'll ask Joe or whoever the person actually is, what do you mean, what am I going to do? And Joe's going to say this, and whoever, the bunch of people that are going to call me right now are going to say this. Well, everybody knows you can't sell after Thanksgiving, and for sure you can't sell after Christmas. Well, that's head trash, my friends. Who says you can't sell after Thanksgiving? Who says you can't sell after Christmas? It sounds reasonable. Oh, it's the holidays. Nobody wants to talk to me during the holidays. Certainly nobody's going to close a deal during the holidays. They're not even going to set an appointment with me during the holidays. Guess what? That's head trash. There are people right now, this second, who need exactly what you sell, exactly what you offer. They're waiting for it. They may not have the time to pick up the phone and call you. They may not have the time to do a Google or an AI search looking for what you offer, but it's on their mind. And it's head trash to think that at this time of year, same thing, by the way, during the summer. I can't tell you how many calls I get in March and April from people panicked because everybody knows you can't sell during the summer. And then when I ask them, why can't you sell during the summer? They give me the same answer every time. Well, Jeff, everybody knows you can't sell during the summer because everybody's on vacation. Guess what? Everybody is not on vacation during the summer. And even if they were, nobody takes the entire summer off that I know. If, at most, here in America, most people take a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks vacation in the summer, but the summer is either 8 or 12 weeks, depending on whether you think it's June and July or June and July and August. But that still means there's lots of people who are not on vacation, who aren't going to take a vacation at all during the summer. So you can't sell during the summer, you can't sell after the holidays is head trash. It's hard to sell when you believe something like that. So you got to get rid of the head trash. It's crucial. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the picture of the gentleman on this slide, that's Tony Robbins. To me, he's the greatest motivational speaker alive today. He may be the greatest motivational speaker ever. He also does sales training. I'm not a big fan of it. I've attended his sales training, and I think he should stick to his lane, which he's really good at. But he's also brilliant in many ways. And he talks about that you have to be authentic, that in order to move people gracefully and with ease toward making a decision to do business with you, it's crucial that you know what to say and know what to do, because that's what gives you sales confidence. It's when we're sitting in a situation and we're in a meeting where money's on the line. Somebody might do business with us and we have no idea of what process to use, what to say, what to do, how to answer. That's what causes the lack of sales confidence. And the opposite is true. When you have a proven process that's easy to use, that feels right to you, that doesn't feel pushy, that doesn't feel sleazy, that's what brings the confidence. And of course, knowing your numbers, knowing how many no's it's going to take to get to a yes. True confidence, and you know this in your own life. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but I promise you know people in your own life who, when they walk into a room, they're magnetic. And you just feel that this person really knows what they're talking about. And they maybe have a little swagger in them. Well, that's confidence. And confidence, that type of person has a magnetic effect. They actually draw people to them, and you can too. You want to draw your ideal clients to you by having sales confidence. Now, here's the process that I teach in the Sales Confidence Lab. And I've taught to all my clients over the last 21 plus years. It's easy to use. It's simple. There's no sleaze in here, and it's not pushy, and it's not salesy. Now, how do I know this works? Because I don't just teach it. This is the same process I've been using for probably the last 35 or 40 years. I didn't use this initially when I started in sales 50 years ago, but over time I learned more and more and went to classes and read books and went to seminars. And this is the process that I know works. So in each and every sales interaction, whether you're meeting with somebody one-on-one because you're a coach, maybe you're somebody like me who sometimes goes into large corporations and meets with VPs of sales and presidents or CEOs, the first thing is always we have to establish rapport with people. Now, this is counterintuitive because you, as the seller, and even if you're an accidental seller for this conversation, I'm still going to call you a salesperson. You just want to get to the point, thank them for their time, tell them, I know how busy you are, and so I'm going to get right to the point and tell you why my company is the greatest company in the world and why you should do business with me. That's what you want to do. What the prospect wants you to do is the same thing. They want you to get right to the point because they're busy just like you are, and the sooner you get to the point, the sooner they can get rid of you and they can get back to doing whatever they need to do. So in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to establish rapport. But the fact is, in 50 years, many things have changed in sales, but one thing hasn't changed. And that is that people still do business with people that they like and trust. If they don't like and trust you, and by the way, of the two, the trust is the most important part. But if they don't like and trust you, unless you have what they need and they can't get it anywhere else, they're not going to do business with you. So we have to invest some time to establish rapport. And of course, I teach people how to do that. The second step is always to gain permission to ask questions, because I promise you this, your sale is not going to be made because you're a brilliant closer or a great presenter. Those are lovely to have, but they're not essential. The three characteristics of all great salespeople are: you are a great question asker, you're a great listener, which most salespeople are horrible at, and you're a great storyteller. So questions are really the key to selling. Asking the right questions at the right time in the right way is really what closes business. That's what closes business for me, because I'm a great question asker and I'm a very good listener. My ex-wife might disagree with that, but I'm telling you, my prospects and my clients will not. So we want to gain permission to ask questions, and I teach a particular way of doing that. And then we deliver our brief commercial, which actually helps us gain permission to ask questions. And then from there, we want to go into asking questions. And there's a particular type of question that I teach salespeople to use. This may seem a little esoteric for a second, but I'll try to make it clear. The questions that we need to ask are the questions that uncover for us, the seller, what makes sense to our prospect regarding what we have to sell them. I know that was a mouthful. That's a kind of a difficult concept. In the Sales Confidence Lab, I go into way more detail. I'll try to give you a quick example. So my belief is we do everything we do because it makes sense to do those things. For example, before I got on this call with you guys right now, this recording at 1 o'clock Eastern, I WALK'd the DOG. I had to spell that because he's laying behind me. And if I said those words, he would have jumped up right now thinking it was time, even though we were just OUT a few minutes ago. So I did that because I knew I was going to be tied up with you guys for half an hour, 45 minutes. I have another meeting right after this and several more back-to-back meetings. And I don't want my guy making an accident in the house. So it made sense to take him for a WALK. I also slammed some lunch down my throat because I didn't eat breakfast and I was hungry. When you're hungry, it makes sense to eat. If you don't want your dog to do his business on your carpeting, it makes sense to take them for a WALK. And in fact, we do everything we do because it makes sense to do those things, including buy stuff. So what we want to find out from our prospects is regarding what I have to offer you, in my case, sales training, sales coaching, sales consulting, what are you doing now? Because whatever somebody's doing now or whatever they've done in the past regarding what you have to sell them is what makes sense to them. So if I can discover what makes sense to you, in other words, what you're doing now regarding what I have to offer you, I'm in a position to then verify that information to make sure I heard it correctly. And then I can present you with my offer, whatever that may be, in a way that uses the main four elements of all great presentation, which are enthusiasm, features and benefits, and a verbal proof story or verbal truth story, which helps you get past the brain science that causes us to think negatively about anything that we're buying. That's the way brain science works, by the way. This is not good or bad, and it's not right or wrong. But the way your brain, my brain, and everybody else's brain is wired up is when we're looking at buying something or investing in something, we automatically think of the negative stuff first. And we do that because it protects us, or we think it protects us, from making bad decisions. So what we want to do is we want to be able to help people get past that. And we do that by telling them a story about somebody else like them who did business with us and lived happily ever after. And of course, I teach how to do that in the Sales Confidence Lab. So in our presentation, we're going to use enthusiasm, features and benefits, and some type of a story. Of course, we have to negotiate. I teach negotiation skills, even though I don't negotiate. When I tell somebody the investment to work with me, that's the number, and a penny less doesn't work for me. But I certainly teach people, and I know in many organizations and many cultures, it's imperative to negotiate. And finally, the last step of the sale is always close. You have to ask for people's business. The goal of any sales process is to get to the end of the process and have them say, sounds good, sign me up. But in the real world where we all live, usually we still have to ask a closing question, which is simply a question, the answer to which is either, yes, I want to do business with you, or no, I don't want to do business with you, Jeff. And of course, I teach a particular close, which I call the in my professional opinion close. This is all part of the Sales Confidence Lab. So you need some kind of a process. It doesn't have to be this one. Every training organization, every trainer out there has a process that's probably similar to this, because the fact is we all say pretty much the same things and we just use different words for it. But this is something you can rely on, and having a process like this is what gives people confidence. Whether you're a professional salesperson at organizations I've trained like Cisco Systems and Siemens and Aramark and State Farm and Citibank. I've trained companies like that all over the world, as well as tiny companies you and I never heard of. At least I didn't until they reached out to me. And as I said earlier, now I'm primarily working with accidental or non-traditional salespeople. So the Sales Confidence Lab is where I work with people. It's a 12-week live program, which is designed specifically for accidental salespeople, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business people, anybody who doesn't really enjoy selling or thinks selling's sleazy, but still needs to sell. So we do step-by-step training. It's 12 weeks. We're doing it, we're starting January 6th, the next one, and it's on Tuesdays, I believe at either 1 or 2 p.m. I'd have to check that. I'll give you guys a page you can go to if you're interested to find out, 1 or 2 p.m. And it lasts 2 hours. And the first hour is typically training, and the second hour is Q&A, where you can ask me any questions about sales. We do role playing with each other, because if you learn something and you don't practice it, you're probably never going to use it. So we also do the mindset transformation. The entire first session is simply about mindset. We're not even getting to selling skills in the first one, because first we've got to get you past that mindset of, I don't want to sell. I'm not really a salesperson. You should take great pride in whatever you do, no matter what you call yourself. But part of what you need to do is be a salesperson. Even if you're a coach, you need to be a coach who knows how to sell. If you're a consultant, you need to be a consultant who knows how to sell. And everybody in the lab gets an accountability partner. And this is essential. In my coaching practice, I hold my coachees accountable. And it's always interesting, when you get feedback from the people you work with, almost to a person, my coaching clients tell me that the accountability piece is what they like best about working with me. Now, in my mind, it's the skills and tools and tips and techniques that I give them, but in their mind, it's the accountability. So in the Sales Confidence Lab, everybody gets an accountability partner that they're going to work with during that 12 weeks, and you can certainly work with them afterwards to help support you in the process, to have somebody to discuss with, to practice with. And when we do our role playing and our practicing, it's in a very safe, non-judgmental environment. In sales organizations, nobody wants to role play because it can be embarrassing. I'm in front of my friends and my coworkers, and I don't want to screw up. Well, we make it a very safe, non-judgmental place in the Sales Confidence Lab, because typically, other than me, it's filled with non-professional salespeople. Now, I'll tell you, in the last one, we did have 2 experienced professional salespeople. Everybody else was an accidental salesperson. And interestingly, I got feedback from everybody. And from the 2 professionals, one had been in sales 30 years, one had been in sales 40 years. The 30-year one said, I've been in sales 30 years, and I can't believe how much I picked up in this 12 weeks. And the 40-year experienced salesperson goes, Jeff, I can't believe it. 40 years in sales, and you refreshed my memory on some stuff that I had forgotten, and you taught me a couple of new things. Also in the Sales Confidence Lab, there's the Sales Confidence Lab community, which you get access to because I record all the sessions and they're all hosted in the community, which you have lifetime, well, at least my lifetime access to. When I die, I don't think my kids are going to pay to keep it going. But yes, you'll have access to that. It's a place where you can go in there, you can review or refresh at any time. It's also a place where I'll post stuff sometimes. There's a forum in there where you can talk to each other. You can ask questions. It's all about helping you sell in a way that honors who you are and serves your clients authentically without any sleaze, without being pushy. This is my friend Nikki, who took the Sales Confidence Lab. I think it just ended a couple of weeks ago, the last one. She's a mindset coach. And before the lab, Nikki said she pretty much avoided sales calls. And actually, she was using networking get-togethers as sales calls. By the way, if I could tell you one thing, if you didn't learn anything else today, networking is not selling. You're not in a networking organization or a networking event to sell the people there. You're looking to turn them into your extended sales force so that they can refer people to you. And going to meet with somebody for networking purposes and then trying to sell them, that is a little icky. So that is what Nikki was doing. Not that she's an icky person, because she's not. She's fantastic. But that's what she knew how to do because she hadn't been trained. And she also told me that she felt salesy and inauthentic during her conversations. And if you knew Nikki, I'm here to tell you, she's the most authentic human being you could possibly meet. She's absolutely wonderful. And unfortunately, she was struggling to fill her calendar with enough clients to, make enough money to serve enough people and support her. Well, Nikki wrote to me after just the third week of the lab. Forget about 12 weeks, which just finished about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks. But after the third week, she wrote to me and said, I'm loving the Sales Confidence Lab. It's only 3 weeks, and I'm already better equipped to have quality, purposeful conversations. She actually called me and said, my conversations are going so much better. This is fantastic. And in the email, she said, my perspective has also changed, and I feel a lot more positive about sales. She no longer felt that sales was sleazy. And she said that I make it feel easy and natural. And here's one more. This is Hai. He's the CEO and founder of Intersoft Associates, which they manufacture custom software. They help with systems development, really intense, brilliant stuff. Before the lab, Hai said sales calls often seemed like just rambling presentations that didn't really have direction. He felt salesy and inauthentic, kind of like Nikki did, and his closing ratio just wasn't what he wanted it to be. He wasn't closing enough of the people he was speaking to. Well, after 4 weeks, not 3 weeks like Nikki, but after 4 weeks in the lab, you can probably read this quicker than I can tell it to you, but I'll read it anyways. Hai wrote, I have to tell you about, actually, I'm sorry, he didn't write to me. He posted this on LinkedIn. And he said, I have to tell you about a great new sales course. It's called the Sales Confidence Lab, and it's run by Jeff Goldberg. And I see there's 2 G's in there. There's only one supposed to be an amazing sales trainer and coach. I'm in the middle of the course. And based on what I've learned in just the first 4 sessions, I've already unghosted a client. Ghosting is one of the things I help people take care of, and we try to get rid of that in the lab, and that had been delaying moving forward. And he also closed another client with just one simple conversation. I teach people how to make better word choices, and we don't have to complicate this. Simple conversations are best, and that's what we teach in the lab. And then again, Hai said, if you need help in this area, it's a great course given by an amazing teacher. It's highly consultative, and everybody in the group is completely engaged. We're also helping each other. I'm telling you, I've come up with a multitude of programs over the last 20 years. I could not be more excited than this one over any other I've ever done. The Sales Confidence Lab is really cool. In fact, we just ran it for the first time for 12 weeks, and both the reviews and the results exceeded my expectations, and mine were pretty high. So this is the agenda. I'll run through it quickly. In the first week, we covered taking out the head trash, getting rid of that, developing the right mindset to sell, and we assign an accountability partner. In the next one, we talk about how do you actually build rapport, because remember I said that's the beginning of the sales process. What are the right questions to ask? And I teach you a process called stream of consciousness brainstorming, which is a problem solving and idea generation methodology, which is brilliant. I'm not saying I'm brilliant. I didn't come up with it, but I'll teach it to you. In week 3, we talk about the difference between features and benefits and why they're both important. And you actually develop your brief commercial, which, by the way, you then send to me. I critique everybody's myself. I'm not giving it off to assistants. If you're in the lab, I'm looking at your brief commercial and giving you feedback on yours personally. In week 4, we teach you about how to present, how to close, and how to ask for money without feeling sleazy. In week 5, we talk about what do you prepare for before a meeting and what do you do after a meeting. And that's where I really share deeply about how do we stop getting ghosted and what to do if you are getting ghosted. In week 6, we talk about how do you use AI in sales. And AI is not going to replace us anytime soon, at least salespeople. Maybe someday, but not yet, because people still do business with people that they like and trust. But there are several uses that I share with people of AI that can dramatically increase your ability to meet with more people, to have better conversations, to shorten your sales cycle, and to develop more business. In week 7, we talk about networking essentials because I want to give you some prospecting ideas. In the first lab, people kept saying, Jeff, I'm loving learning how to sell better, but I also need to meet with more people. So in week 7, we talk about how to network effectively, and I actually get a third of my business from networking. Then we talk about each of the steps of the sale in order, and I show you how to put everything together, because by week 7, we've covered each of the steps. In week 8, we talk about active listening skills. Most sellers, professional and non-professional, and this is a technical sales training term, most of them suck at listening. I'll teach you how to be a better listener, and we'll go over the confirmation step. Then in week 9, we'll talk about negotiating. In week 10, we actually don't have a meeting because everybody gets a personal one-on-one role play with me. Just it's you and me privately, not the rest of the group is not there. And week 11 and 12 are professional prospecting, where I'll teach you not just networking essentials, but how to use LinkedIn effectively, using email and direct mail, webinars, cold calling. I know that most people shudder when they hear it, but I'll teach you a simple, straightforward method for making phone calls that help you reach people. So the entire program is designed to build your confidence progressively from the very first call to closing high-value clients consistently. I do like AI, and of course, that's an AI picture of me and my dog Duke as a superheroes. Here's the thing. You don't need to be a superhero or a superstar when you're selling. Am I a superstar salesperson? Yes. I've dedicated my life to it, but you don't need to be me, not by a long shot. In fact, you shouldn't be me. You should be you. You just need you with a methodology that feels comfortable and natural to you, which is going to make it feel comfortable and natural to your prospects, which is going to result in more closed business. You're going to enroll more clients, serve more people, which of course means you get what you want, which is to make more money. Here's what you don't get. You're not going to get pushy tactics. I know I come across quite often as a type A pushy guy. I am type A, but I'm not pushy at all. I will push an idea. I'm happy to argue with anybody anytime, but when it comes to selling, I'm incredibly gentle. All I do is have great conversations with people because I believe that sales is a conversation or a series of conversations leading to help the other person choose to do business with you. And that sales is not about convincing, persuading, or talking people into things. So I'm not going to teach you anything that's pushy. I'm going to teach you how to sell in a way that feels right to you, which means it's going to feel right to your prospects. I'm going to share how to have authentic, genuine conversations, which you're probably already good at. You just need to know how to do that in a sales setting. And we're not just going to teach you stuff. We're actually going to practice it. I could teach you stuff all day long, but unless you actually practice it and implement it, you've wasted your time and you've wasted your money. And that's not what I want for you. And that's not what you want for you. So if this sounds like it might be something that's of interest to you, but you're thinking, well, I'd like to show up, but I don't want to role play, don't show up. This is not for you. This is for people who seriously understand, I don't want to sell, but I have to sell. So how can I do that in a way that feels right to me? And I'm willing to put in some work. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you go to the gym and you lift a weight one time, you go, oh, I'm ripped. Well, that's not the way it works. What works is actually doing reps. Every time you go to the gym, you're doing reps. You may do different reps on different machines or with different free weights every time, but you're going to do reps. And it's the same thing in the Sales Confidence Lab, because that's what gives you the confidence to then go out and help more people choose to do business with you. So if this sounds like it's of interest to you and you want to be in a group with other people just like you who really don't want to sell but know that they need to, the Sales Confidence Lab might be right for you. There is, we don't just take 3,000 people. It's limited to a certain amount of people because I want to make sure that everybody gets personal attention in the group and that there's enough people that we're all having a good time, we're excited, but everybody gets what they need. I originally thought I would limit it to 99 people, but that after I ran the first one, I saw that was too many. So we're going to do half or less than that. So if you're interested in on the next slide, I'm going to leave it there for a few seconds. The website's on there. And also here's a QR code. If you're interested, then you can either go to the website, you can see it on there, the tinyurl.com code, or you can use the QR code. It'll take you to the webpage, gives you all the information, and it allows you to register if you want to. If you see at the bottom of the screen, if you are interested, if you use code Duke, that's the super sales plug, Duke. If you use the code Duke50, Duke50, you'll get $50 off. And I just realized I did not put something on these slides that I wanted to because I'm so confident that you'll gain confidence and you'll be thrilled with this program that at any time during the first 30 days that you're in the program, if at any time you feel for whatever reason, you know what, Jeff, this was not worth my money. This is not what I was looking for. All you have to do is send me an email at jeff@salesconfidencelab and say, Jeff, I want my money back. I'll send you back everything you paid immediately during the first 30 days. It is a 3-month program, so you would have to make a decision within the first month, but I guarantee you that by the end of 30 days, you'll know whether this is something for you or not. And I never make a promise I can't keep, but I can almost guarantee and almost promise you that absolutely you will love this program. Everybody who took it last time did. I've got some great testimonials, and you'll see some of them on the page if you hit that QR code and go to it. That's it for me today. We did this in 36 minutes. I think I allowed an hour, but I think we're good. So if you have any questions or there's anything I can do for anybody, feel free to reach out to me at jeff@salesconfidencelab.com. Otherwise, you can use the QR code or use the website, the web address, and go check it out there. I'll end as I always do on my podcast, which is this. Sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.